If we thought that the bot issue was bad now, just you wait. Gonna be bots everywhere. You're gonna be bots in your sleep. You're gonna be waking up, bots. Mark Cuban says the music industry is built on the algorithms and speaks on where things are headed. This is a 7-minute clip. I mean,
everything is built on the algorithms.
Yeah.
The entire music industry, other than old school radio, is built on algorithms. I mean, whether you start on YouTube, whether you start on TikTok, whether it's Instagram, where, you know, whatever the meme is, you need to be part of it and you need to feed that algorithm. And even though if you're a new artist and you're trying to get on Spotify, you know, you're trying to create content that tweaks the Spotify algorithms to get you in front of more people, right? And so that's kind of what makes it so hard. It's almost like politics, and you're a candidate that's trying to, you know, find your way. Music is the same way. You have to understand how algorithms work in order to be successful, or you just have to be so good nobody can ignore you.
Yeah, I mean, that's interesting you bring up politics. Tomorrow's live episode of On the Record, is going to be all about how songs go viral today. And a lot of the tactics that are used by politicians are also used by record labels trying to break songs.
Yes.
And it's all these weird covert ways that you wouldn't even know that they're kind of manipulating the algorithm, because what record labels used to offer was access to all these gatekeepers.
Yep.
They used to know, you know, all the people at the radio stations. That's still important, but it's kind of further down the line. You know,
I knew all those people, right?
Yeah.
You had to know the PD, the program director, you had to know the consultants, and there were consultants for every format, and then they would switch from classic rock to alternative or whatever. Now it almost doesn't even matter.
Yeah. And so now what they're really trying to do is try to give you some sort of a boost on the algorithm any way that they can, and usually it's kind of throwing money at the problem, maybe hiring a digital marketing company who promises they can do it.
Which they can.
Which no one can totally promise it.
But now what's crazy, here's what's changing.
Yeah.
Do you guys know what Agentic AI is from companies like Claude and Clawbot and all that? That'll revolutionize all of that, because it'll be able to not be smart, but to just keep on banging on, because when you hire an agency, they bring in some people and they say, based on my experience, here's what you should do, and here's, you know, how we'll kind of reverse engineer the algorithms. This is what worked. Agents don't have to do that. You know, you set up your own little Mac Mini with Clawbot, and it'll just send everything it needs to a list. It'll create websites. It'll create unlimited number of websites. Like you've.
Now I think that thing that he just mentioned right there, you can get your Mac Mini with Clawbot, is a very interesting thing that actually I've been looking into. I don't know if a lot of you guys have been kind of tapped into this whole thing that's going on with AI and what is really going on. Oh fuck, I just freaking lost the video that I was watching, but I wanted to show you Baby Keem. Baby Keem out of nowhere surprised people where they realized that he was into this whole AI situation thing too here. Like he got the Mac Mini and he's running Claude. He's asking random questions about OpenClaw and all kinds of weird stuff. Like, you know, this whole AI Claude agent programming thing is a real thing. I'm not done watching that video though, so let me find it again. Where's that video? I was just watching it. Cuban music industry. Bruh, Elon, you gotta fix your freaking app, bro. Bruh. Oh, I think here it was.
Everything is built on the algorithms.
Access to all these gatekeepers.
Yep.
They used to know, you know, all the people promises they can do it.
Create websites. It'll create unlimited number of websites. A little Mac Mini with Clawbot, and
There you
it'll
go.
just send everything it needs to a list. It'll create websites. It'll create unlimited number of websites. Like you've talked about the fan websites that are created by the publishers or distributors, and you're going to see that times a million with agents.
Yeah. I mean, it just kind of when I think about that and I go that far down the line with AI, it's like what music jobs are going to be left?
But you still need to see the jobs won't disappear. It'll just because so you look where the leverage is, right? So if you're a distributor, publisher, you're Warner's, you're Sony, whatever, right? Universal, you have all the leverage right now because you can get placement on legacy media no matter what, right? You're not going to all of a sudden be able to make something viral on TikTok. Well, you can get placement on radio stations. You can help create a tour. You can place them in venues. So you have leverage there. The people at the bottom, the new artists, have no leverage. And so the less leverage you have, the more you're going to try to use new agentic AI opportunities because the marginal cost for you to try to connect is really small.
Well, okay, so if it was that a lot of baby artists who are, not plugged into a record label yet start using all these new tools that are going to come about via agentic AI, it kind of like makes it so the artist doesn't have to sign to a record label for even longer and even longer. And that's a trend we've already started seeing.
For sure.
Artists are doing a lot of stuff. I would say artists very much so have to be entrepreneurs to make it.
Every artist is an entrepreneur. You have to be. And you have to make tough decisions. They're almost like athletes in that you weren't raised to be a business person or an entrepreneur, but you've got to figure it out. And you've got to hope that if you don't work on it, then the people you trust are trustworthy. But again, I'll go back to AI. Like if I was a baby artist and I was getting started, I would go right into Claude and say, okay, what steps should I take to try to maximize my Spotify uptake, if you will, right? How can I, the whole thing of going to the Spotify editors, it'll write, their letter to the editor. Now you have to like tweak it so it doesn't, because otherwise they'll all sound the same, right?
Yeah.
But then, I need some fan accounts, right? And I need some fan websites, and I need this and I need that. It'll all do it in 3 minutes.
Yes, okay, but then, okay, the Spotify editors are going to be flooded. I'm going to be flooded as a music journalist. And I think it's going to, it's just going to be even harder to break through and to get noticed.
Every time there's a new technology, the early adopters get an advantage. Okay. So if you're one of the first 100 to use Spotify editor, you do this for Spotify editor, you're good, right?
Yeah.
Because they're still figuring it out. Then if you're the next 5,000, then it all has to change. And so you'll start looking for different ways to accept input from people.
Yeah.
And so you'll use your own agent that says, okay, if this comes from Agentic AI, dismiss it unless it's A, B, or C. Mm-hmm. And so, and people think these are going to replace jobs and it's all going to get ugly. And I don't believe that at all, because somebody has got to have some common sense. Somebody's got to be able to use judgment, because you're not going to trust your AI to look at the emails or the input that you get and make a decision.
Yeah, interesting. One thing that a lot of people in the music industry believe, especially investors in music catalogs believe, is that the music industry is recession resistant or recession proof. That it's not.
Very interesting conversation about agentic AI and the music industry in the terms of how fast this whole AI boom is going to accelerate. Again, we're talking about people on OpenClaw coming up with programs to create mass amount of accounts and being able to run those type of intense programming just straight from their home setup off of Mac Pros, all this different types of things that we're about to see, where if we thought that the bot issue was bad now, just you wait. Gonna be bots everywhere. You're gonna be bots in your sleep. You're gonna be waking up, bots. Just think about bots all day, every day. It's about to get bad. And this is a perfect kind of showcase of how, the leverage sits at the hand of Warner, Sony, Universal at the end of the day, the three major record labels. And as the leverage leans more and more, and the pendulum swings more and more towards them and less advantages towards new independent artists, they have nothing but to rely on AI and new emerging technology that becomes easier and easier to implement, that they can use for discovery purposes. Why wouldn't you have 10 AI bots working for you to do the work that one manager couldn't. And it's gonna get crazy. It's gonna get crazy because then again, like they're saying, there's gonna be 5,000 artists using AI bots instead of just 10. And again, the early adopters are gonna take advantage of that. But it's gonna really reveal to us, how bad this whole AI thing can get in the sense of, just marketing. I think that musicians and artists are always trying to find new and interesting ways to market themselves or show their work or do this or do that. And, this whole TikTok short form content boom is really not, like, a lot of people are not messing with it. A lot of people do not like it. A revolt against AI, I do think that there will be some type of pullback. I think there'll be a correction. I think that there's already been a lot of people upset about the way that OpenAI and Anthropic have kind of dealt with pressure from the U.S. government. And again, although Anthropic's kind of backed away from certain deals, that they've now decided that it went against their morals and beliefs. Of course, like, for example, the U.S. government allegedly asking them for help in relation to automated weaponry, which has the ability to kill people in an automated fashion without any human input, just like weapons and drones that are kind of just doing their own thing. And then as well, another thing that Anthropic said that it will not do, so it has to back away from the deal, involves surveillance over mass amount of Americans for no legitimate means, just for the sake of doing so, just mass surveillance. And they backed away from the deal. Anthropic did. OpenAI took that deal over. The Sam Altman and the boys over there. And it's been contentious. So I do think that there will be some type of pullback or correction. These AI companies are going to have to realign their guardrails with the public interest. And people are going to have to make sure that, we're not building up companies that are going to end up, ruining humanity and taking over all our jobs and have us coming up with, or having us having to lean towards crazy, or maybe not necessarily crazy, but never perceived before solutions such as universal basic income, and things like that. It can get very intricate and it can get very deep in a philosophical and social economic sense. But I think if you kind of understand what I'm saying, you understand what I'm saying.
Correlated with the overall market. If the economy were to tank tomorrow, people are not going to stop listening to music. Spotify is so cheap. Why would they cut the cord on that first? Maybe they would cut the cord on Paramount or, their million,
whatever comes next.
Video on demand services. But maybe not music. I'm wondering what your thoughts are on that idea. Does that hold up?
I think it holds up, right?
Okay.
Because the worse things are, the more people need music. So I'm a big believer in that music soothes the soul type thing, right?
Totally.
And just, makes life livable. But at the same time, again, what's the source of all that new music? That's what we don't know. And so if you've played with any of the music creation tools, they're good.
Have you tried them out yourself?
Yes, of course. I've tried everything.
Of course. What do you mean, of course?
We all, we sing in the shower. Now
that wasn't assumed.
In the shower to sound good. You just talk and give it your voice and let it create a song to the genre you want. And
Mark Cuban's making songs in the shower.
Is that me? And now imagine if somebody that has talent is able to do that, right? And is creative.
But that's the thing. Somebody that has talent or is creative, maybe somebody that creative would, but somebody that has talent wouldn't resort to those tools. But I digress. Interesting convo.
It's for the love of the money. Tell your man to watch his mouth for this shit can get ugly.
Well. Look who made it all the way to the end of the video. Pretty sure that means you like what you saw, doesn't it? Make sure you hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. I'm live every single week on Twitch and Kick. Hit the link in the description, or you hit that video right there. Might like what you see, might like what you find. Go ahead, hit it.
or this shit could get ugly.